It's the Score North Twin Show.
All right, Score North Twin Show. We have prospect rankings. We don't have free agents or trades to report, but we do have prospect rankings. We got that going for us here on the Score North Twin Show. Very excited.
Yeah, dudes. I have some trivia for you because I know Declan's going to go through where the current top Twins prospects are ranked. Mm-hmm. And Walker Jenkins is in, well, he was last year too, but he's in some rare air in Twins prospect history.
Wow.
Oh,
Very
how's
rare.
that for a little tease for the
David
podcast,
McCarty?
huh? Well, that would be bad air.
It was
I
great
don't
air
want
at one
to
time.
put,
It was the third
I don't want to
overall
put
pick.
that on him.
Third
but
overall pick in 91. It was great air until it
let's
wasn't.
see. Hopefully he doesn't take after David McCarty. Although David McCarty wound up like bouncing around the big leagues for.
He did.
He was still in the big leagues with like the Red Sox in the late 90s, wasn't he?
Yep, he bounced around quite a bit in Kansas City, I think.
So we'll fire that up. We'll fire that up for prospect rankings. I'd love to fire up the hot stove for actual things. We had a big episode about Dylan Cease last week. Sounds like nothing is coming to fruition on that. That's too bad. Anyway.
How quickly that got shot down.
Yeah, gone.
The Twins are poking around on Dylan Cease, and then
Do you want Vasquez?
like a
No.
week later.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
Okay, sounds good.
And then the Padres end up signing a backup catcher, so you can also cross off the Christian Vasquez path to San Diego as well. So
we can just crumple that article up.
Just throw it in the trash. Throw me in the trash. All right, so let's look at the prospect rankings. So ESPN.com released theirs. Major League Baseball.com released their prospect rankings. I'm not sure where these guys fall in Baseball America. A shameless not self-plug. I don't have access to Baseball America, so I'm not sure where those Twins prospects fell, but we can at least go from these two sites. So the top prospect for the Twins this year is obviously Walker Jenkins. So we've known that for basically going into this season. Now we officially know he is third on ESPN.com's prospect rankings, and he is third on MLB.com's prospect rankings. Sasaki, who was obviously just signed from the Dodgers, is the top prospect in baseball. Coming over from Japan, has a lot of hype. But if you, I don't mean to be this guy, but if you move Sasaki, I mean, Walker Jenkins is the number 2 prospect in baseball in terms of guys that have had minor league service time and have been around other teams. So very exciting. And in this write-up from, I believe it's Kylie McDaniel from ESPN.com, he did this write-up and he's been following Walker Jenkins around and kind of watching his development from high school and into the minor leagues. And he says, type of hitter, J.D. Drew. Reminds me of J.D. Drew, a smooth lefty hitter with an incredible feel to hit along with above average power and athleticism. I first closely scouted Jenkins in the summer between his sophomore and junior year of high school and immediately wrote J.D. Drew ? In my notes because of his sweet swing. Advanced hit tool, power speed combo he goes into details on. And then Jenkins' selling point is his plus bat-to-bat skills. That's right. Plus bat-to-bat skills.
Here you go.
Thank you. I was waiting for it. Mm-hmm. Which is helped by his efficient swing, but that maximizes raw power. He has a fine runner with good instincts. The wide base of skills and long track record make Jenkins one of the more safer and highest probability regular among teenage prospects in recent memory. It would have been the top overall pick in many drafts when he was drafted in 2023, and he should be the top prospect in baseball in the next 12 months.
Wow.
So a lot of hype around Walker Jenkins.
First of all, J.D. Drew. Let's pay homage to a guy
bobblehead. Oh my God.
who once had a stop with the Saints.
Let's
You
go,
did?
dude. Let's
Back
go.
when he
did.
couldn't sign with, was it Philadelphia originally?
Yeah, the Phillies. So he was signed by he was drafted by the Phillies,
I went and saw him
second
play.
overall.
Yep.
Scott Boras was his agent.
Okay.
Also, Walker Jenkins' agent. Scott Boras.
Oh,
Oh, it's all coming together. Walker Jenkins going to get a
okay.
bobblehead? Saints,
I think people hear J.D. Drew's name. I mean, if you're a younger baseball fan, I mean, J.D. Drew has been retired for 15 years, but like you hear J.D. If you were around as a baseball fan with when he came up as a prospect, it was before social media, but it was like the mid 90s. Baseball was on fire, and here comes the next major prospect. Mm-hmm. He never lived up to the billing. But if you took away all the pre-major league hype, he was a really, really good player. He was worth 45 wins above replacement in his career. A regular, like, 400 OBP guy with some power. I would say if Walker Jenkins turns into JD Drew, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer. But if that's like the baseline for him, he'd be a great player for the Twins for as long as they have him under team control.
And I think this is the perfect reason why prospect rankings and prospect comps sometimes get completely lost in the sauce of, Walker Jenkins, he's a can't-miss prospect, number 3 overall. Alex Kirilloff, a really good prospect, then he gets hampered by injuries and has forced to retire. Byron Buxton, Miguel Sano, we could go down a list. I think Twins diehard fans still love their prospects. But I think the Minnesota sports fan who maybe has 1 foot in, 1 foot out with Twins fans can't stand kind of when they hear prospect rankings because the Twins, either players don't live up to the actual hype and or they don't trade them when they should. So if Walker Jenkins has a career like JD Drew, which Phil just said was a 45 WAR career, in 2004 with the Braves, he had an 1,000 OPS, hit 305, and finished 6th in MVP because we still had some steroid users, a new era of like Albert Pujols was coming to the fold then. He had a really solid career. I mean, an 8.3 OPS is in today's day in baseball is probably a top 3 finish in MVP. But he goes and has a really solid career. So if Walker Jenkins has a JD Drew career, I think I take that. Like if that's the option of door number 1, or if door number 2 is anything else, I think I take door number 1 almost every single time.
I think we get far too hung up on because of these, and the rankings themselves have in the last 20 years gained nothing but steam, right? Like in the 90s, they were important and people saw them, but they weren't online yet. Baseball America ranked them, and back then. But now it feels like we're disappointed if a guy, has a ranking like this comes up and is not a just immediate, just great player, which is the odds are not going to happen. I also think there's 2 ways to see this. One is if you have a farm system that begins like this and is considered pretty rich, are you in a position to make some trades to go get some guys that are going to push you over the proverbial hump towards, potentially a World Series? Unfortunately, in the Twins case, they're not doing that right now. So I think that there might be some unrealistic expectations here. But I will say that health provided, knock on wood, because that's a big one here, like we've been down this path. Health provided, though, this is a very nice starting point for what should be, hopefully, with the next 6 months, an organization and franchise that has a far more clear path of where it should be going.
I think in the case of a Walker Jenkins, he's going to be more valuable to the Twins franchise, rolling the dice on him being part of the major league lineup as opposed to being this massive trade chip.
Yep.
If you're there's like 3 or 4 teams, maybe 5. I mean, in terms of the big payroll teams, Dodgers, Mets, the teams that are willing to spend $250, $300 million on payroll, they are largely, it seems like, treating they are building their prospect pipeline specifically as a trade chip pipeline, so that they can go get the already established player because they can afford to bring on those bigger contracts. Because you're usually trading for a player that either makes a lot of money or is on the verge of needing a contract or maybe is further along in arbitration. If you're the Twins, we all want the new ownership group to come in and make a splash. But like, as long as baseball's current economic system is what it is, the Twins aren't going to be spending $250 or $300 million. Therefore, you really need a guy like Walker Jenkins to come in and just be, for at least 6 years until he becomes a free agent, a stud who doesn't make that much money. And then you can put some peripheral pieces around him.
One last thing, too, on the JD Drew comp. So on baseballreference.com, they give what's called similarity scores, which basically takes your games played and your output, and it gives you a score, and then you can use that from a career standpoint and compare it to other people's baseball careers. The first 3 guys that come up to JD Drew's similarity score on Baseball Reference are Carlos Gonzalez, a great player for the Rockies, awesome perennial top 5 MVP, a great fantasy baseball stud if you were a fantasy baseball player in like the early 2010s. Number 2 is Jason Worth. I think kind of another complicated guy that got paid by Washington, but was still a very good player with the Phillies. And even at the end, kind of rejuvenated his career. I would take that comp. And number 4, Cliff Floyd, who was also a really good player for the Marlins, bounced around everywhere, was just solid. All 3 of those guys, too, by the way, were top 100 prospects. And in Cargo's and Cliff Floyd's cases, were like top 15, top 10 prospects that lived up and had a very good career. So if Walker Jenkins has a career of any of those 4 guys, J.D. Drew, Carlos Gonzalez, Jason Worth, Cliff Floyd, I think you have to take it every single time.
Yeah, I feel like all 4 of those guys at their peak, even just their careers in total, they're like Hall of very good players.
Yeah.
In the case of Cargo, injuries kind of derailed him a little bit. You also wonder about the Coors Field stats, but
yeah, true.
I just pulled up too. This is how volatile some of these prospect lists can be. You go back 15 years, the 2010 MLB.com pipeline top 100 list. So here are the top 10 prospects from 15 years ago. And there are some absolute hits here. There's a couple like Hall of Famers on here, but then there's some others that are like, oh my gosh. Number 1 was Jason Hayward, and he turned out to not come anywhere near living up to the number 1 prospect hype, but was a good, solid, a great defensive outfielder in the corners.
Good play. Yeah.
Could get on base a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Strasburg, who at his peak was dominant, but injury issues. Giancarlo Stanton, not a Hall of Famer, but really good power hitter, obviously.
Yep.
Buster Posey, Hall of Famer. Brian Matus, left-handed pitcher, Baltimore.
Bounced around forever.
Brian Matus. Huh.
Desmond Jennings, outfielder, Tampa Bay.
Yep. I remember Desmond Jennings.
Neftali Feliz, man, I was a big Neftali Feliz stan.
Poor guy.
You draft him?
He was on a couple deep Roto League rosters of old Macadac. Yeah.
1 strike away, right, in both Game 6 and 7?
Yeah.
1 strike away.
And wasn't our guy Nelson Cruz?
And also
his
Nelson
butcher
Cruz.
defense in left
That was
field.
it,
Yeah.
In St. Louis.
Tag team job.
Pedro Alvarez, third baseman for the Pirates.
Yep.
Could hit some homers, but never quite lived up.
No.
Justin Smoke was supposed to be.
What a
Justin
prospect.
Smoke.
What a prospect.
He was
Might be a
supposed to
good
be
great guy.
the guy. Great baseball name too, man.
Yeah, Justin Smoke.
Let's go. And then Mad Bum was number 10 on this list. Actually, Carlos Santana was 11. Let's see here. There's a lot. Once you get into the teens, you're very excited 15 years ago that you've got, oh man, we've got the 14th best prospect in baseball, Dominic Brown, outfielder, Phillies. Never quite lived up to it. Can you guys, Dex hit on a couple of these, but here's a trivia question for you. So Walker Jenkins, top 3 prospect. From what I can tell, and I'm going back to basically like the early 90s, the Twins have had 7 other top 10 prospects where they are ranked in the top 10 at some point, Major League Baseball prospect.
Okay.
So Walker Jenkins and then 7 others.
Till when?
Okay.
What's the start date, Phil?
I'm going back early 90s. Okay.
I mean, McCarty was at one point.
He wasn't according. He was 16th was his peak according to
Todd Walker.
Todd Walker is a great pull. Yes, 1997. He was a top 10 prospect.
God, did TK hate him? Couldn't play a lick of defense.
Good player, good offensive player who.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely has pop.
Torrey Hunter was not a top 10 prospect.
No, he was a weird type prospect.
What did Cuddy crack the top 10?
Nope.
Okay, because I was looking at him yesterday.
Yeah, we got to think of guys that were actually drafted high because I feel like that forces you up.
It does.
I feel like part of the problem is these prospect rankings. If you're like really good, but you're a 25th round pick or something back in the day, you didn't really make it up the rankings.
Yeah. Well, like Albert Pujols was not ever because he was like a 9th round pick, right?
Right. No, I'm just saying the one problem, especially back in the day with these rankings, is if you weren't a high pick, and I mean, my God, back then the draft went until it was called.
Yeah, the highest. It's funny because so Pujols is one of the 5 greatest players to ever walk the face of the earth.
Yep.
He was a 13th round pick in 1999. His prospect ranking peaked pre-2001. Baseball America had him 42nd. Yeah. But it's like, hey, you're going off of like the high school / college evaluations,
Exactly.
And then he literally has one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time.
So obviously like Bucks and Sano, like those two are our locks. Yeah.
Buxton was number one. He was the number one prospect in baseball.
Yep.
No, and he should have been.
We need 3 more besides Walker.
Okay, going back to the early '90s too. I'll think in the '90s.
4 more. I'm sorry. We need 4 more.
Because they had some great draft picks in the '90s because of their ineptitude starting in '94.
I don't think Kirilloff got in the top 10, but he was definitely like a top 20.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll go Kirilloff. Yeah.
Kirilloff was a top 10 prospect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before the wrist injuries.
Back.
Man,
Yeah.
I feel bad for that dude. He just got wiped out by injuries.
Yep, he definitely did.
3 more. One of them, I think, was the number one. Let me see here.
Oh, Garza. Matt Garza.
It's a really good guess. Matt Garza does not pop up here.
What?
Let me verify. I mean, you're missing like one really obvious one.
Oh, Mauer. Joe Mauer. Jeez, JFC. Mauer. Joe Mauer. Good Lord. Sorry.
Number 1 overall pick. Matt Garza, let's see, where did he peak? He had to have been like in the top 20, right? Garza peaked. Baseball Prospectus had him 13th. Baseball America 21st.
Okay.
So he got up pretty high. Not top 10 though.
Okay.
And then there's 2 more. There's a position player and a pitcher.
Where did Morneau get
That's
drafted?
the next one.
Morneau was he was a first round pick, wasn't he? He was not a top 10 prospect though.
Okay, yeah.
Here's random one. Jason Kubel.
That's a really good guess. He did not. By the way, Morneau peaked Baseball America 14th and 16th. Jason Kubel, from what I have here, was not a top 10 prospect. That's another guy. He actually wound up having a pretty productive major league career. But he had crazy knee problems, and like his athleticism was
He did the
cut in half. The knee exploded.
I think it was in the Arizona Fall League, right?
He was the 17th ranked prospect going into 2005. Real quick, side street on Jason Kubel. He destroyed the high levels of the minor leagues before the knee injury. So before the knee injury, he was 22 years old between AA and AAA in 2004. He had a 1,000 OPS, batted .353 with a .414 on base percentage, and had 70 extra base hits in 127 games, and then tore his knee to shreds.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right, 2 more? Or
2 more. 1 pitcher, one recent position player, and one pitcher not as recent.
Royce
Lewis.
Oh, Royce Lewis. God.
Yep. 1 pitcher that was acquired via trade. And he was a top 10 prospect for the Twins after the trade was made.
Alex Meyer.
It's a good guess. He was very high. He was like a top 25 prospect.
Joe Ryan?
No. I'll give it to you. Francisco Liriano.
Liriano.
Was another one.
Okay.
So, I mean, really, like, the only true caution, I guess Miguel Sano is a little bit of a cautionary tale. Kirilloff was injuries. Todd Walker, kind of a cautionary tale. But he went on to have, like, at least a career. You know, he did a decent job. So, anyways, there's your trivia for the day.
Couple other guys that have snuck on these prospect rankings. So Emmanuel Rodriguez is the second best Twins prospect according to sites. Emmanuel is 27th on ESPN. He is 37th on MLB, so a little bit of a discrepancy there. And he has a very interesting skill set. He's got a ton of power. He can draw walks. He can also strike out a ton. I think he is more MLB ready, and you will likely see Emmanuel Rodriguez with the Twins. Like, I would imagine as soon as there's like a significant or even a blip of an injury to the outfield. Like, I bet he starts at AAA. He had a thumb issue that kind of limited him last year. But he's another interesting one. I mean, he bats left, he throws left, he plays center field. He's supposed to be a pretty good center fielder as well. But his skill set's very interesting. So I'm curious how it translates when you have a lot of power. You can draw walks, but then you also swing and miss a ton too. Does he become Kyle Schwarber? I don't know. But
I think that actually, like a more athletic Kyle Schwarber. Just hit bombs and be athletic. Let's do it.
Injury problems really concern me here, though. This guy is always dealing with something. It feels like.
Yeah, a lot of soft tissue.
Is he ready? Is he ready to go for spring training in 2 weeks? From all accounts.
That's what they are very high on him. Even conversations last Friday at the luncheon and everything else around the off season going in. After the end of 2024, they are very high on him. And I bet he does start at AAA and probably will see the Twins make his Major League debut at some point in 2025. Absolutely.
If that dude, he feels like he's at the point where if he has a crazy spring training,
he could push.
He gives them a decision to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aaron Hicks?
Well, do
you remember that?
Yeah. Aaron Hicks, did he hit like 3 home runs against the Phillies in a
He cleared the tiki
game?
bar in left field, the greatest tiki bar of all time.
It's a great tiki bar.
That's a great place to drink.
Clearwater, right?
Oh, yeah, I love Clearwater. That's a great ballpark.
Another one on here, Luke Keyshaw, who we've heard before. So Keyshaw is number 61 on Major League Baseball on ESPN.com. He's 43. So again, ESPN a little bit higher on him than MLB.com. He's an on-base machine with medium power, speed, combo, and positional versatility. So a guy who might not have a ton of pop, but has good bat-to-ball skills, good contact skills. Sometimes those OBP guys, like I could see him having a very similar path to Austin Martin, where a guy that can put the bat on the ball a lot. Does he have more power in his swing to actually make him like a legitimate threat to be an MLB like star player? I guess we'll wait and see. He did have Tommy John in middle of August. Now, a Tommy John for an infielder as opposed to a pitcher is a quicker recovery, not as invasive. I believe they are confident he's either ready for spring training or ready for when the minor league baseball season starts. We'll see where he's at when they do report to Fort Myers. But another guy who we could see at some point in 2025.
I feel like part of what we're seeing transpire here as well, you guys, is, I don't know, aside from developing a traditional first baseman, it feels like the position flexibility here, like if you're a second baseman, you're going to play some third. You might play some first. Probably won't play short. Mm-hmm. But like we're seeing fewer and fewer like traditional guys that play second just come up and play second. So the premium that Baldelli and the staff is putting on that now, to me, seems like it's not a must, but it's gonna help you a lot if they say that you can actually play beyond like one position in the infield.
I don't think that's an unreasonable ask. I know the way that they broached it with Royce Lewis was probably not I don't think you can just throw a glove at a guy and say in August, hey, go play a position you've never played before. But in their off-season and spring training process, because guys are going to get hurt. It's a long season. Teams are very quick to put guys on the injured list so that they don't have lingering things long-term. So, yeah, I mean, it does feel like in the old days, you were a third baseman.
Yeah, or a second baseman.
You were a second baseman, and then if someone went down, you'd like bring up the next second baseman, and then there could be a huge drop-off between the starter and that guy, but that's the guy. Matt Tolbert, sorry, he's coming in.
You're right, yeah.
Exactly but if you can just...
Matt Tolbert, come on, I'm ready to go.
I know. And then he'd be like batting second for a month and a half. So, yeah, if you can cross-train guys and limit the gap between the starter and whoever the backup is, then it's good.
Last one here before Judd gives us a TV update. Charlie Soto is the number 100 prospect on ESPN.com. He's a pitcher that was selected with the 34th pick in the 2023 draft, the same draft as Walker Jenkins. He is a pitcher, excuse me. He has a mid-90s sinker, and a Luis Castillo-esque package is the comp there, which I think if the number 100 prospect turns into Luis Castillo, you would also take that 8 days a week. He has a big sinker, a heavy fastball at 94 to 97, but he's the 100th prospect. He's 19 years old. I mean, he will be in the minor leagues for the next year or multiple years before we see him. But those are your kind of top 100, top prospects for the Twins from national publications. The Walker Jenkins one's exciting. I think you'll see Emmanuel Rodriguez, but they have a pretty good prospect pool going into 2025.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I think the question's going to be to the point off the top of the show. To what extent do they view this pool now deep enough to trade from it? And not just like leading up to the season here, because I don't think there's any big move coming before the ownership change, but they've been so inactive at the trade deadline in the Derek Falvey regime.
Right.
That, gosh, if you've got these teams that are either competing or in first place and just need a nudge, don't be afraid. Don't cling. I think cling to Walker Jenkins, and I'd probably cling to maybe a couple other guys, but don't cling to your top 10 prospects.
Great.
And they've shown a willingness at times. I mean, they have pulled the trigger on a couple bigger trades But largely they've been super inactive at the actual midseason trade deadline. So if you have a good team, don't be afraid. If you're pumping in and you're drafting well and you're developing, treat some of these guys as trade chips.
Luke Keeschall sounds like a trade chip to me, potentially.
Teams have called on him. Like at the deadline, a lot of teams called on Keeschall, and they were at the time hesitant. But I would trade Keeschall if the right pack. He's not an untouchable guy by any means.
Yeah.
Judd, before I give you our TV update, shout out to Kieran's in downtown Minneapolis, steps away from Target Center. Also a great spot once we get to opening day here, and those actually it's like 48 degrees. I will take an opening day temperature. I think of 48 degrees right now in the Twin
Cities. This would be a great opening day. I mean, it'd be a little bit of a crisp in the air, but I would take.
I'd take it. And I go to Kieran's before. I go to Kieran's afterwards. Go stopping at Kieran's. Great game day specials, great taps, great food. Go check out our friends Kieran's at Target Center. Judd, what is the latest of the TV update? I was there on Friday too. They announced their plans and whatnot for Twins TV. What do you have for us?
So they did announce some plans. They announced what they know, which is Twins TV, as you found out, Declan, is set to roll February 11th. You can start to subscribe. As we speculated, and this is the same price that was charged across the board by the MLB-produced teams, the Rockies, Diamondbacks, and Padres last year, $99.99 for an entire season of streaming games, which is actually very fair. $20 a month, 150 plus games on this platform. But there's a couple of unanswered questions. First one is, if you are not a streaming type and want to get the games on cable or on satellite, the Twins have said that they are going to address that. MLB is working out those packages because they now will produce the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the Guardians, and Twins. So what they do is they just, as an example for this market, they go to Comcast and they say, let's work out a deal for everybody. So it's not like, hey, let's do a Twins deal here and a Guardians deal here. So if it's a Comcast market, they can just basically go and cut a deal. That's the good news. So the good news is it should get done. The bad news is, in the case of the Rockies a year ago, it took until opening day, which for the Rockies in 2024 was March 28th for it to get done. So don't expect it to get done quickly, but it should be done. It's probably going to be on a tier that's the same as FanDuel. It also will not be a 24-hour channel, but it will provide the games, the pregame, the postgame, of course, a ton of replays. So if you miss the game, you can watch it 87 times.
Is it going to be FanDuel Sports? Is that still a possibility?
No, it's going to be its own standalone channel. It's
so it'll be Twins TV.
It's going to be Twins TV, but it's going to come on for the games. And then eventually, as the years pass, I think that they will turn it into more of a baseball channel.
Can we keep the theme song?
But it's not FanDuel. No,
I don't
we
think
can't.
so, man, because it's FanDuel.
No, we can't. But the good news is Audra's back. Katie is back.
Go ahead.
Panta not back. He's not going to be a pre or post.
Our guy Plouffe, Denard Span, D-Span in the house.
Exactly right. Mm-hmm. Exactly right.
Some D-Span.
A couple of more things. 5 spring training games for free. So if you want to watch about 5 spring training games or stream them, I should say, those are going to be for free. Potential really good news is they also are in talks to still put a package of games on over the air, which means free. Now, not a ton, but I have said put some weekend games on, right? Like
throw us a little Sunday game.
Allow people to dabble on channel, I don't know, Fox 9 Plus, 45, something like that.
I don't know, man. Those Kings of Queens reruns, I need to catch those a lot.
Channel 45 to me is a great. I do not
King
side
of Queens.
King of Queens here. I think KSDC does a fantastic job. I think they're one of
I'm
the
saying that too. I love King of Queens.
The Hubbard-owned KSDC to me is fantastic. The last thing is, and this is a huge step for baseball, the Twins have been informed. So previously, their territory was included Western Wisconsin and, most importantly, Northern Iowa. Baseball has told them, streaming-wise, so not games on cable and satellite. Streaming-wise, though, Iowa now, you can, no blackouts. Now, I did ask.
What a moment.
Does this mean the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Royals, the White Sox, and Cubs also? Because Iowa was the wasteland of baseball. Everyone was blacked out. And the answer to that from the person I talked to, I did not get. But nonetheless, the Twins now can be streamed. So if you are in Des Moines, you can now subscribe to Twins TV and get the games. This is actually, it sounds small, but we've discussed this for years, you guys. It is sadly a huge step for baseball.
I mean, how do you, if you're Major League Baseball, how do you treat the state that houses the Field of Dreams the way that they have for the last 20 or 30 years?
Pardon my
Let
French,
them
just peed on it.
If you build it, they will come, but you can't watch it on TV.
No, you're right. But how ridiculous is that?
Yeah. I also heard, too, that there will be an in-market MLB TV package that also includes the Twins. So, like, if you're a diehard Major League Baseball fan and you want the whole bleeping thing, you want to watch, Mariners and Padres or Rangers and White Sox and Twins games, you can also have that option, price TBD on that, too.
Look at that. Look at baseball finally moving into baseball. Rule number 1, if you want your sport to be more popular, make it accessible so that people can watch it. Here's a $100 bill. Please take it so I can watch your sport. And for years, they've said, no, you are not allowed. You must go find one of 2 specific platforms and pay for all these other channels.
The interesting thing here, though, is the fact that baseball now is going to produce and sell 5 teams, but that's just a start. Like, the eventual goal is to take over all of baseball and control everything. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some fighting for sure.
Boy, I mean,
but that is the eventual goal, is for baseball to control its own television packages.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be an arm wrestling match against the Yankees, the Dodgers.
You might have to do it without the Cubs, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. But I think you can get a bunch of them.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Judd, you got a random twin for us?
I do.
All right. Baseball. So, Judd, I've got the standings here in front of me. So, Judd's going to be the one throwing out clues this week. Declan on a 2-week winning streak. Random twin of the week. Guessing Chuck Knobloch and Denny Hocking. Speaking of twin second baseman. Before that, it was Gio Urshela, Kyle Farmer, Jacques Jones, Donnie Barrels, and Joe Mays. All time, I have 25 wins. Declan has 24. So there's some drama here. Can Declan tie for the lead? Judd with 19. Whoever loses the previous week throws out the clues the next week. So we each get up to 3 incorrect guesses. If one of us hits a third strike, the other one wins automatically. No Googling. You can Control F search to see if we've done a random twin before.
Yep.
Here we go.
All right, boys, put your thinking caps on. This random twin was the 27th overall pick out of college. Other players, as we discussed before, to go back to harken back to past drafts, other players taken in his draft included Manny Ramirez and Sean Green.
Oh,
a pretty good draft class.
So this is...
I'm giving you guys a pretty good timeline right off the bat. Right off the bat.
Yeah, this is like the 90 draft.
All right.
I don't know if I was born yet.
Just
born.
This former twin was also drafted out of high school before college by the Twins in the 27th round.
So he was drafted 27th round, then 27th pick.
Yes, and that 27th pick, I don't know if this helps. It probably does not, but that 27th pick was a comp pick that the Twins got.
What?
It was a compensatory pick.
That's weird. Isn't that kind of weird?
Yes.
Well, how many teams were there then in 92, 93? There weren't
more
30.
Than 27. Right?
Diamondbacks weren't there. The Rays
fell
weren't
in the
there.
first. I looked it up. It fell in the first.
Rockies weren't there.
Compensatory pick.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. So it was probably the first. It was probably the first. It was the first comp pick, probably.
Not that important.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's a good.
Okay, great. He played parts of 5 seasons for the Twins, but played in more than 100 games only once. This random twin was what we like to call a slappy on this show, because while known for his power, he hit, or I should say, known for his power coming out of his college, he hit only 27 career home runs, parts of 5 seasons.
Oh, man.
His 4 career home runs against the Brewers, then, of course, in the American League, were his most against any single opponent.
Guess what this
Okay.
guy is.
You gonna fire off
We
one?
done this guy?
I'll guess Scott Stahoviak.
Oh my God, you got it!
Let's
Oh
go,
my
dude.
God, dude! I had so many more clues, including the baseball cards that you can find online of his for $1 and $1.95 respectively.
Wow. Are people paying $1.95 for a Scott Stahoviak?
I don't think
Is it
so.
signed? Is it signed?
I don't think so.
Scott Stahoviak.
The compensatory pick came for the loss of Gary Gaetti to the Angels.
Okay. And so what year was that draft? 90, 92?
91 or 92.
Wow. So
91.
Sean Green, because Sean Green did not really. Manny Ramirez made an impact in the 90s. I feel like Sean Green
Took a
like
while.
maybe 98, 99 in the 2000s.
Toronto and then LA. Right?
Yeah, he won. Sean Green, I think,
Very
once
good
hit
player.
4 home runs in a game for the Dodgers in like 2001.
Very good
Crazy.
player. Very good player.
So
Nice work,
Dex will
Phil.
have to wait another couple weeks to take the crown here.
Like at first you seemed to be very perplexed, and then you just like freaking got up and fired a bullet of a pea from right field.
I was trying to do the timeline on this, like.
I think he roped up Dex.
But then the first round picks, I have a pretty. I can name off a lot of the first round picks for the Twins. I feel like. And so I was trying to think of first round picks, and Scotty Stahoviak.
The third pick in that draft was indeed David McCarty by the Twins.
So they took, like, we got to replace Herbeck. So let's take a couple stabs at this thing.
And it was right before Kent retired, coming out of the '94 strike. So yeah, they were prepared for it. Well, they were prepared for it. Didn't work out. Kevin Moss.
All right, let's go to our Twin Show. Hit this like button, subscribe button here on the YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys. Be back next week.